Hello and welcome to our viewers from around the world. You're watching Business Incorporated, coming to you live from Channel's television headquarters in Lagos. I am Bolaji Akinwale. Coming up, central bank meetings held across the global markets. The World Bank says it has so far spent about 7.78 billion naira on the third National Fadama Development Project additional financing in Nigeria. Plus, a look at the country's fixed income markets. Okay, let's begin with the global markets, which is expected to be dominated by two crucial central bank meetings and monetary policy decisions this week. On Tuesday, the U.S. Federal Open Market Committee begins a two-day meeting. Expectations for a June rate hike have been pared following a lower-than-expected May non-farm payroll number in recent weeks, which casts doubts about the health of the U.S. economy. The Bank of England is also meeting this week as the UK moves closer to the referendum on its membership of the European Union, which is set for June the 23rd. Meanwhile, in Asia, the Bank of Japan is also scheduled to hold a policy meeting on June the 15th, with analysts saying that the bank could surprise markets with additional easing this week. Talking about Asia, Japan's benchmark Nikkei 225 finished a Monday session down 3.5% at 16,019 as a rise in the value of the yen hurt big exporting companies such as Toyota. Investors remain cautious ahead of meetings later this week by the U.S. Fed and the Bank of Japan, although no rate cuts are expected. The yen is often regarded as a haven in terms of uncertainty, and the dollar weakened to below 106 yen. Shares in Toyota closed down by more than 3.5%. Honda's shares were 4% lower, while Nissan's fell 4%. The Nikkei's close marks a 5-week low and the third straight session of losses. In China, markets were following the regional downward trend. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index was down 2.7% to 20,465, while the Shanghai Composite was down 1.6% to 2,878.64. Meanwhile, in Australia, stock markets are closed for the Queen's birthday long weekend. And to Europe now, where stocks traded sharply lower on Monday as investors look ahead to crucial central bank decisions from the US and Japan this week, and uncertainty over Brexit rattles the markets. So how do the numbers look at this time? Ulrich Batz is DWTV Channel's TV correspondent, and he joins me from the Frankfurt Stock Exchange. Ulrich, welcome to the program, and thank you for your time. The fears over the UK referendum still lurks in the corner. The opening figures in Europe seems to reflect the concern over a possible yes Brexit vote. How is the market reacting to this news?
Well, the market is going down. When you look at the DAX behind me, it doesn't seem all that bad. The DAX, well, it's losing 1.34%. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot to write home about, but add this to the previous 3 days' losses, which were in part quite heavy, then you do have a market that's very nervous. And just like in Frankfurt, the whole European market is reflecting this nervousness, and it's almost palpable here on the floor. When you talk to the people here, there's at the moment really not much else except the Brexit question, because nobody knows what will result from it. And the latest figures coming out of polls from Britain show that the Leave side is gaining traction. Even some online polls show that the Leave side has turned into the majority for the moment. It's too close to call. Nobody knows. That adds to the pressure here for the markets. Everybody I know here expects, if a Leave vote is cast, that the markets will be in turmoil, that it will have real repercussions for the real economy as well, for big and little firms.
The Bank of England, which is scheduled to meet this week alongside other central banks, the US Fed, the Bank of Japan, how will the bank's policy decision weigh on investors' outlook for the markets?
That's very important. I think the Bank of England could actually be very important when it releases a statement on Thursday, not because of the intricacies of the monetary policy now, nobody's really interested in that, but because of the tone of the statement that it will have just a few days before the Brexit vote. Will there be any indication to the voters of what the Bank of England prefers or fears? I think that's an important mark in this week. And also the Fed. It will say on Wednesday in the evening European time, Janet Yellen will appear before the press after a two-day meeting of the Fed and will explain what the Fed decided. People now think that there won't be an interest rate hike this June, that possibly there will be one in September. This because of weak labor market data and also, of course, because of the fears that a Brexit could upset the world economy and the world markets. But you never know. So all of these central bank meetings, you mentioned the other ones as well, are keeping people very nervous and very careful in their treads that they're doing in the market.
Now, oil prices have also come under severe pressure from economic developments around the world. How worse can things be?
Yeah, for the oil industry, not much worse. There was such a good recovery since January, but now there's been a decline, and the sentiment is turning negative, as indeed the sentiment for the prospects of the world economy right now with all those problems out there. From the terms of the consumer in most Western countries who are not dependent on the oil industry, of course, it tends to be rather good news that the oil price is coming down a little, yet this is not translating into the interpretation that the market is doing from this.
Okay, Ulrich Bath, DWTV Channels TV correspondent from the Frankfurt Stock Exchange. Thank you for your time. And still to come on the program, the World Bank embarks on additional funding for the Referendum project. Stay with us.